This is so easy to make, and it's so delicious. When I first lived in Israel in 1970, my home away from home was Caesarea, or Caesarea in Hebrew. I lived in a small house overlooking the Roman aqueduct and the Mediterranean Sea. I loved it. Flash forward 40 plus years, and this summer I went with my whole family to Caesarea to show them what I used to love. My grandchildren played in the water, and my son and his wife came with my husband and me to Helena's restaurant, where we heard they had a sea foraging menu, which we partook of. It was delicious. It was interesting. I remember wandering around, actually on horseback, on the beaches of Caesarea, and looking at the sea bush, the salty sea bush greens that are similar to spinach, and then we had them in this wonderful ceviche recipe that I'm going to make for you. Okay, first of all, I'm going to cut up the salmon. You cut it, make sure you have a sharp knife, into like inch or half-inch slices. Okay, now I'm going to just put a little bit of lemon juice in this. You'll see how easy this is. Take a hot pepper, and you want just a little bit, you want a little bit of that pinch when you taste this. I can feel it already in my throat. I need to put a little bit here of saffron. It's going to color the olive oil. Put that with the fish, just a little bit. Then throw in chopped nuts so you get a crunch. And then you toss it. I'm going to cut this up a little bit more with about 2 cups of parsley. You want this to be, see how beautiful this is. And I'm going to salt it and pepper it. Oh well. So now I'm going to put olive oil, because that's the oil that they had in the ancient world. And when I lived in Israel, they used vegetable oil all the time. No longer. It's always olive oil. While the oil is getting hot to about 375, we're going to put the saffron is in lemon juice. It's been sitting there. And now we're going to put it to make color, odor, and everything wonderful about. See how it changes the color? And color is always something that's been important in festive food. Now, the oil is hot. I use a wok because you can use less oil. Woo! And of course they use olive oil. This is what they use today in the land of Israel, and they used it in the ancient world as well. I'm not sure they flash fried food, but we do. So this is, you just want to really cook. 375 is how hot it should be. And I love using the wok. I use it for falafel. It just makes things crunchy. 1 to 2 minutes, that's all. Here it goes. You know, when I think back on when I lived in Israel in the early 70s, no one would have ever thought of a dish like this. Just wasn't what you would do. Okay, so here, while this is, now everything's ready, and all we have to do is assemble this recipe. So I think what I'm going to do is use a plate that looks somewhat like a boat. It seemed appropriate to use this beautiful plate that I got at the Crafts Festival in Washington, D.C. as a vessel, as a beautiful vessel for this ceviche. So the first thing that you're going to do is take a swath and just put it here where the center is going to be, and put it here where the sturgeon caviar, you know, one of the great makers of caviar today, which is exported mainly to Russia, including the sturgeon itself, is Israel. So what I'm going to do is form this ceviche. You might want to do smaller, but my family likes large bites of things. You put it on top. You don't have to do it as fancily as a chef does it. You could do it a perfect circle if you wanted to, but you don't have to. Looks pretty, huh? Then what you do is you take the crispy spinach or sea bush leaves, or whatever, you know, you could use watercress would be good too. That I know we find them in Brooks near where I live. You put that on top. Wouldn't this be a nice hors d'oeuvre? And then you just put a little bit of the caviar, and voila, a beautiful dish. It's crunchy, it's soft, it's delicious. Bete Avon.